I am very privileged to welcome three of our esteemed speakers in today's VLFM Prerna Manch. And these are industry veterans. They have seen many ups and downs of the industry. They have seen uh, uh, things evolving. They have seen companies crashing. They in fact, themselves have engineered many of the new things in the industry. So we we are welcoming them with a view that they will shed light on what are these essential things of leadership for the future, what are the new paradigm for the future leadership would be, and they will guide us into this session. So we have three esteemed speaker, and I am glad to uh, I am really glad to welcome three of our esteemed speaker, Mr. John Edwin, who is from TEFE, Mr. Manoj Sadawate from Godrej and Boys, and Mr. Rajiv Lokhare from Classic Auto Tubes. We Sir, on behalf of the VLFM community, I would like to thank each one of you for spending some time for this VLFM Prerna Manch. This is the ninth session of the Prerna Manch. We have been continuing this every month. The sole objective of this Prerna Manch is to inspire our huge community of VLFM leadership. So I will request Mr. John Edwin sir to uh, uh, please unmute himself, and I'll dare to give a very small introduction of sir. He is President and Chief Officer of Tractors and Farm Experience, more than 3 decades of experience in various domains of automotive industry. BE and MTech from a very prestigious IIT Delhi. He has been long associated with the VLFM, and he has been one of our mentors who have guided us in ups and downs in every aspect of VLFM. And if we are successful today, we can definitely thank Sir because of his unduring support to the VLFM. He has deep functional knowledge and leadership. He has driven leadership in his organization and also in industry as a large. And he's a member of advisory boards and many of the industrial bodies. So, sir, with this, I would like to welcome you, and I would like to request you to share your perspectives on the leadership perspective for the new horizon for the new businesses. Uh, it's over to you, sir. May I request you to please.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for the welcome. Uh, Today's topic is basically the leadership response to the new normal, which has been with us. Now, I think the word new normal got into greater focus and greater usage, mainly because of the COVID situation, COVID-19, which had come, and the pandemic which had hit the whole world. I would like to share a little bit on my perspective of what this has caused to the world, particularly in relationship to some specific issues related to the automotive industry. I will also cover a little bit on the broader aspects where I'll be sharing some personal examples and other examples, and how the changes are going to come and hit us, and how as leaders we need to respond to this situation. So if you see the COVID-19 pandemic, it is one of the deepest disruptions which have happened in the recent past, at least in the memory of some of us who have been in the industry for many decades. We have not seen such a deep disruption. Probably for the previous pandemic which hit the world was about 200 years ago. So probably in 200 years, such a deep disruption has not taken place. We will be going over what kind of disruption has taken place and how it has impacted the world. And this is a big challenge, particularly for the VLFM team members, because the VLFM concepts, the VSME concepts, have been very greatly put to test and under great strain due to this disruption. I have personal experience of implementing in TAFE all the three cycles of VSME, that is the delivery cycle, the manufacturing cycle, as well as the procurement cycle, and been involved with the VLFM leaders, both as kind of many of our people have been trained, and I have been to some of the VLFM programs to address the gatherings. So this disruption has been something which hit all the three cycles of the VSME. To start with, in terms of the delivery cycle, when the pandemic hit us, the discussion started whether this disruption is going to be a V disruption, which means that the demand will come down and whether it will go back sharply back to its original level, or whether it will be a U, which means that there will be a disruption and then the disruption will be long held and then it will slowly start going back, or whether the disruption is going to kill the demand forever for a long duration or a long period of time. This was the debate which was going on. Now, what has happened is that different industries have felt a different kind of changes in demand, different shapes. Some have seen actually a growth in demand. Some have seen a V shape in demand. Some have seen a U shape in demand, and some have seen a permanent, a long-term reduction in demand. So that is what has happened. And in some sectors, actually, the growth has completely collapsed. And in some sectors, there has been a very good demand which has come up. If you see, for example, the telecom sector, there has been a significant growth influenced by the COVID pandemic. I'll explain to you how it is. Because of the need for virtual interactions which have increased, like this interaction, which otherwise would have been a personal meeting somewhere where the VLFM team is gathered, that I would have traveled over there, I would have come over there. But now we are all meeting virtually, and probably many of you here on these meetings would be meeting on a virtual basis. So that kind of a thing demand has come up as shifted from physical travel to virtual interactions, which has fueled demand in terms of telecom bandwidths, availability of 5G networks at home or at different office locations. So there has been a significant positive impact on telecom, which we are able to see. But at the same time, there are many areas where demand has suddenly collapsed. And you would have seen in retail sector, there has been a big impact. The other day, I was speaking to a person, a friend of mine who is a builder, and he was just sharing with him that how the building demands have completely collapsed. And then he said that why talk about building, that even I have stopped buying many things which I used to buy, like now I'm working from home. So the need for my dresses have come down so significantly that in the last 12 months, I have never been out to buy any shirts or any other garments. So therefore, the demand has really collapsed in some of these sectors. I was in a barber shop the other day, and I was a saloon the other day, and I was talking to the person who was doing the hair cutting for me. And then I asked him, has the demand now come back now that the effect of pandemic has largely come down and people have a need? He gave a very good insight. He said that unless the meeting together and partying together starts, our sector will not pick up. I asked him why. He said that only if there is meetings together, partying together, birthday parties, or going out, then the people would like to have themselves dressed up well. And he said that as against what men would do coming to the salon and asking for a massage or asking for a facial or any other such specialized services. Now he says that they just stopped the haircut. So therefore, the revenue stream has significantly got impacted and it has come down. So every sector, whether it is small business or large business, the demand has been impacted by either fueling great growth, or in many sectors, it has actually hit them negatively. If you would have also noticed that many restaurants have closed down, hotels are barely surviving, and even many of the tier 2 suppliers are getting impacted very negatively because of this situation. Many small manufacturers are getting affected. So in these sectors, there may be even mergers or acquisitions of a small nature. I'm not talking of an M&A of a mega nature, but I'm talking of smaller ones may continue to take place. So the leadership has to, the leadership of various organizations have to be aware of this and look out for opportunities where you may be able to, if you are able to sustain your own organization, you will be, you should be on the lookout for seeing that how we can grow the current business. If you are on a solid footing, then how you can look at mergers and acquisitions, which would be coming up on the way. Uh, on a global level, if you see in terms of the demand, one of the significant things which have emerged is that, for example, due to the COVID, the stoppage of travel took place, travel within the city took place, and complete lockdowns were in place. And everybody realized that the environment had completely changed and it had improved because vehicular pollution had come down to almost near zero, and they found that it has completely changed their city or their towns. And globally, what has happened is not so much in India, but globally, the due to this awareness and the effects which people had seen, uh, they had the electric vehicle market grew very significantly in this period compared to whatever was happening to the internal combustion engine market. So the electric vehicle had started growing, and a couple of days ago, you would have also seen in the papers that Tesla is trying to come into even the Indian market. So these are some of the impacts which have taken place. As far as our own tractor industry was concerned, April was a complete disruption. The sales had gone down to just zero sales. But then there were certain factors influenced again by the COVID, which helped the market to recover. And as you know, that there was a disruption of the labor force. The labor force migrated back to the villages, and they thought that this kind of a constant disruption, which is going into the cities and then finding so much of difficulties, why not re-establish ourselves in the agrarian market? And they started buying tractors, and they started giving greater concentration to the agricultural work which they do. So therefore, the markets recovered, and whatever we lost in the month of April, the industry picked up and it recovered within 6 months' time. So whatever we would have sold in 6 months now was sold in 5 months, and that put a very heavy impact on the supply chain. So we had to respond to that kind of sudden demand. Supply chain itself was disrupted, and however, the demand had got demand came in for almost the same level of as the previous year, or with the small growth of 10% over the previous year, and it had got compressed instead of 6 months to 5 months, which means nearly another 20%. So there was a 30% difference between the previous year and the current year in terms of the production requirement which had come in. So this had also disrupted the demand cycle. So at the end of the season, we found that the company stocks were zero, the dealer stocks were near zero. So these were large-scale disruptions which we have never seen or experienced in our industry. So the leadership team had to react to these kind of phenomena which had come and hit us with no prior or previous experience, and we had to take decisions on the run to cope up with the kind of disruption which had taken place. The supply chain had also got disrupted, and as you know that automotive industry is unlike any process industry, like let's say salt manufacturing or sugar manufacturing or fertilizer manufacturing. They have few input material or raw material. They have very few raw material. Of course, they buy it in very large quantity and as bulk purchases, and then the output comes out as bulk single commodity. The automotive industry is something which is very different, and automotive industry has got very complex and varied outputs in terms of models, variants, and those kind of things. And also the supply chain is much more complex than any of the process industries. They are very dispersed, and in many cases dispersed across the globe. And then the supply chains are very complex. They look more like a web than like a chain, and they are spread all over the world, and there are very specific technologies. There are very specific skills available for specific technologies in specific regions. So they are very heavily complex. So there was very heavy disruption due to the COVID which had taken place. It started with China, when the pandemic hit China first, and the China supply chain got disrupted. And once the China supply chain got disrupted, and subsequently as the pandemic moved over from place to place, the supply chains in all these areas also got started getting disrupted. That in terms of the production cycle, the biggest impact was on the Heijunka system which we follow. The Heijunka system got heavily impacted, and the performance of Heijunka dropped significantly down. And now with the relaxation in the supply chain which is now coming in, it is picking up, but we do not know how long this kind of improvement will continue, because everybody is looking at a possible second wave, and the country has to take measures, much stronger measures to contain the second wave. And if they have to take stronger measures, then that has to lead to further disruptions. So we do not know how this going forward, how much of disruption there is still going to be there. So as leaders, we have to react to this kind of uncertainty, and we have to come out with the response mechanism for all of these kind of things. No business risk mitigation model could work in these circumstances, and we found that all kinds of business risk mitigation models which we had in place, they were completely inadequate to meet to the heavy disruption which took place. Also, in terms of the manufacturing cycle, there was a large-scale disruption in the way on the employees. So most of the offices had to go to work from home, and there was a large-scale pattern of change in the manufacturing timings, the shifts, the way the employees were transported, the way the employees were housed. It all impacted us very heavily. And till about 3 days ago, we used to have employees reporting COVID cases, mostly, even though it was mostly due to their exposure to outside areas which had brought in the infections, but still it was going on. And I think last 2 to 3 days, we have had 0 cases of employees reporting COVID infections. So there has been a large-scale impact on the manufacturing as well. And then it went into the supply chain, where we had, as I said, that the China supply chain disruption. Then India went under lockdown, so the whole supply chain got disrupted. Then even when as the the lockdown was getting relaxed, there were still regional lockdowns, and many of them in auto industry hubs, where there were regional lockdowns which were there. And then subsequently there were local shutdowns. Some local industrial area getting alone getting coming under lockdown period, and things like that were there. So the response came in 2 kinds of measures. One is globally what manufacturers, auto manufacturers or leaders are looking at is to review whether they have to completely change the supply chain model. The current supply chain model is dispersed, it is global, and it is complex, and it is a very long supply chain, and whether there is a need to do that, to completely reform and change the supply chain into a more compact, localized, regionalized kind of a supply chain model is to be developed or not. And some companies have started doing that in some measure. And however, it involves many complexities. It involves very heavy investments to be brought in. It needs competencies to be available in those areas and regions for the varied technologies what automotive thing requires. The second model by which people have responded is to go with increased inventories to prevent disruption. So what we have adopted is to go for the second model, where we have increased our inventories to prevent or to manage the disruptions which may come in, but still ensure that the flow principles of VLFM and VSME are still maintained. We were not able to for a few months, and now we are trying to regroup ourselves and put that back in place, where about 50 to 60% of our flow manufacturing we have already re-established, and month on month we are making significant improvements in bringing the flow manufacturing back on track. However, we have decided to carry much higher level of stocks. We had brought down the stocks through VSME program to as low as 4 days of raw material inventory, and now we have significantly increased to absorb any fluctuations which may take place. So these changes have come to stay. Our work from home has come to stay. So migration into digital, which you would have heard so much about, has come to stay. You would be surprised to know that even in tractors, we started digital marketing when the pandemic hit us, and there is a significant amount of sales which is now coming in through this digital marketing initiatives which we have done. So these are going to remain. People are talking about having supply chain towers to have visibility of material right up to tier 3 or tier 4. So these are things which will come to stay, and online buying will go up. The other day I was able to order some equipment which I wanted from Chroma while I was also doing, I was outside, I was doing some other shopping. And while I was doing the shopping, I could identify the equipment which I wanted. I could speak to the store's agents, get the payment gateway. I could make the payment. The item could be brought within 24 hours from Bangalore by Chroma, and the next day it was delivered to my doorstep through Dunzo. So the delivery model, the buying model, all of this will undergo permanent changes, and as leaders, we need to be ready to respond to these kind of changes which are coming. We need to be perceptive to these changes, and we need to see how we can do this in a big way. And even the focus of research and development is directionally changing with many of these disruptions, which are due to the disruptions, whatever changes are coming. So I don't want to take much of the other speakers' time. So I would like to close saying that as leaders, we have a very important responsibility to respond to changes. And this is not just a change, this is a complete disruption. And the disruption is changing the way we work, the way we do business. And we need as leaders to respond very quickly, very effectively to these disruptions which are coming and which are creating new normals across the areas where we work, whether it's R&D or supply chain or sales or manufacturing. There are changes which are on the way. So all the very best to the VLFM members, that you also be in a position to respond. And Mr. Shoji Shiva used to talk about the big M, and this is a real big M which you have to take a look at, not just at your area of responsibility. You have to take a look at the big M and respond to these changes. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your great inspiration. And it, as you have put it out, big M is the perspective that we have to keep in mind. So without much ado, I would now request Mr. Manoj Sadavarti, who is our esteemed speaker, who is a second esteemed speaker, to take up the dais and give his enlightening speech after John Edwinson has concluded. And let me just give you a small introduction of Mr. Manoj Sadavarti. He is a Batch 7 graduate and associated with Godrej and Boyce manufacturing companies, more than 3 decades of experience in various domains. So this is just a very short glimpse that I could cover. I would request sir to please take up the dais and to please enlighten the entire VLFM community with your words of wisdom. Over to you, sir.
First of all, greeting of the day to all my VLFM community. I welcome to all to today's session and hope you all are safe, secure and healthy personally as well as business-wise. On this, at the outset, I'd like to thank the CII to share my experience of this leadership perspective and the future, that how we are going to operate to address the challenges that we have right now. So I'll share my perspective as well as my experiential journey, which has brought some success and experience to me with all the people here. Being an operational male, I was just focusing on the operational part for a brief. And the second part is I will also dwell upon the leadership perspective. And one of the most important tool that we had is the VLFM training, VLFM mindset that we have. So when we had a bad times, when we are operation, we have come to a standstill for 2 months. I went back to my notes on VLFM because that was the true knowledge that was available with us, which can be put into a practice, and went through from a total lockdown to a successful operational model. Okay. So thanks AI once again for this talk. Here in a leadership, the most important part was the thinking part. So I am a Godrej Ontario man. I'm sharing my experiences, what changes in our operations during this new normal. We have 2 plants at Uttarakhand. One is in Haridwar and Bhagwanpur. The Bhagwanpur plant makes the seating, and the other plant at Haridwar makes lifestyle products like mattresses, sofas, etc. I given this presentation earlier to other forum also, and here I like to address the community as well as the society that all has not ended, and therefore there was a total disruption, as rightly said by my earlier speakers. So I have coined this success experiences journey from Andhakar se Asha ki door, from darkness to the hope. The few darker side of the situation which we have happened from March to June was millions of the people affected. It was a global spread. There was total lockdowns. The middle class people were on roads. They have no work, and economic scenario was uncertain. And we started feeling the human life is in shambles. And these are the pictures which shows how the disruption was. Everything was come to a standstill, and the people across the globe were in the depression state of mind. There were negativity all around. We are hearing the news of death or sickness everywhere. So I'm just sharing with you my success, where I have started the operations of both the plant from June onwards till date without any impact to us. So some preparation were done, and this actual experience has given me a lot of perspective how we are going to go into the future also, because these were not theoretical knowledge but actual experience which has helped me. And with this creation of a new business model, there is a possibility this kind of the corona or the COVID impact can be U, can be V, can be W. So nobody can actually predict what will be the state of affair in the futures to come. So the preparedness has to be done right now with us. With more intensity, it will work in future as well. So observations, the global scenario is standstill economy, lockdown, which I've said earlier, and there were the basic problem where that the people were in state of fear and anxiety. They are not able to understand what is going to happen tomorrow or in the future. So the entire responsibility comes on the leaders who were heading the either the companies or the positions or the locations. This was the time which you have rightly said is the toughest litmus test for leadership. There were only 2 options available with us, either to succumb to this kind of a pressure or to come out of this. So initially 2 months, me and my team had very tough time because the operations were standstills. There was nothing happening. The factory was closed, but we were continuously thinking in a positive way and preparing the blueprint. If we get a permission to start our operations at plant levels, how do we work? Because this was at different times. So in this lockdown period, we started reading a lot of literature which was available with us either on the internet, and made a blueprint for the future. The first and the foremost was myself, because I was the leader and the people were entirely looking at me. The entire outer world was in bad shape, so I had to into some meditation mode, which I learned, and try to develop an inner strength how to succumb to this kind of a pressure. And then finally we decided along with the team that we will not sink under this, because business continuity is a parasitic requirement. And this paramount requirement has to have a someday a start. So we started approaching the government for getting a clearances, because we have a novel product which we call it as an hospital mattress. With the help of that hospital mattress, and there was a need which has come up, we got the special permission to start our operation with only few peoples. So there were a lot of ideals available with us in the history, where people have done something beyond their capacities and had come out of this. So we decided to fight, and the fight started. So there were two approaches that we adopted, which we have learned. So this was the right time to use that big M model of VLFM. So one of the most important aspect was the safety and the well-being of the people from home to factory and back to home for all the stakeholders, my team, my workers, my society, my suppliers, everybody. Only when everybody feels safe and well-being and have no fear, and then we can have a continuity of the operations in our business and a growth. We used the three-pronged strategy of a VLFM thinking, which we have learned, and this was the time when we have to apply this VLFM thinking is positive thinking for all, safety and the communication. For the positive communications, one has to be motivated. So we organize a lot of web-based talks on mobiles, on a laptop, and whatever the platform that we are available with, to give a positive message to the people. Though the situation is tough, but we have to come out of this. With this continuous positive communication, the team started moving out of state of fear to a confidence. So that was the first, the success we got. And when the team started behaving and supporting us on the activity, and then we made the preparation for the safety and the well-being of all the people all around us, which are our stakeholders and which are also society also. So we created some infrastructure in the plant based on the government, based on our corporate guidelines, and shown the photograph to the people so that they can feel absolutely fearless while coming to the plant. The third and the most important was the innovation required in all the approaches, all the processes, all the way that we were dealing it, because the situation was totally different, which we have never experienced in our lifetime. So a lot of innovation everywhere, right from approaching a customer to a delivery of the product to the customer, was rewritten, redrafted and validated. A lot of out-of-box thinking came from the team members while dealing with this kind of a situation. And with this new normal confusion, the customer needs were changed. As rightly said, the people were working from home, so they don't need an office product, they need a product which can facilitate them to work from their homes. So that was the new product which was generated. Since there were certain products which are used by many, so we also developed some sanitized covers for them also, which were given to the customer so that the covers can be changed the moment the person or the user changes. So there were a lot of new products being developed at our design workshop in Bombay, and we communicated through an email. We developed that product, shown them the photographs and actual product and video, and then launched the product through e-platforms. As rightly said, we had this Bible and Gita available. So we used this tool, which was a success tool, but redeployed, reinvented, redesigned it. The business opportunities were started pouring in. The customers' needs were changing. They need a different kind of product and different kind of services. So from the operational point of view, we made a lot of changes in the technology because this preparation was already done by us. So we cannot buy the new machines. So we develop in-house low cost automation product in order to maintain a social distancing as well as touch-free operations. The research and development will design some work from home products, and we converted those designs into the actual product and then shared with the customers. Customers liked it and given us the orders for that. The supply chain requires a total alignment. They were also closed down. So continuous communication with them, which is also being done and which is also required to be done in the future to give them their confidence. There are a lot of regulatory changes which were happening from a government time to time. So we have to adapt it, we have to implement it, we have to call them, we have to show them, and we have to gain their confidence. Lot of manufacturing process were changed, the layouts were changed. Society, we also made all our workers as a brand ambassador for addressing the COVID related issues. These people were trained in the factory, they went back to the home and developed a similar kind of a protocol which is required at their home, what they have taught in the plant. All the processes which are possible to be converted into a green processes and to reduce the waste management were designed, developed and implemented. So all the earlier processes got totally transformed into a new business model, which we have evolved using this VLFM thinking. We also, redefined of the operational strategy, but because of the paucity of the time, I cannot, go into a detail, but we created a culture of Poka-Yoke that nothing should happen which can cause disruption of the operation at the plant. The employees, the operation strategy, the supply chain reimbursement, innovations were being done. There was only singular aim is to maintain the business continuity because the organization has to run under any circumstances. We made fishbone diagram and I listed down only a few and we implemented everything. There was nothing called important or less important because we want that no one in the plant should be affected because of the corona. We also have an experience of our business model. So we also use that tool also. So leadership people did thinking, communication, monitoring. We also using the communication change the mindset of the people. The business oriented strategies were changed, they made flexible. So we keep both the strategy intact, the earlier one or the new ones. Anything can click. We shared our vision with our partners. All the processes, product and services were innovated. And slowly the results started pouring in. The people started giving us the confidence, people are started giving us the support. Customers also started liking our products and started giving the business. And society all around the plants were smiling and we got the business results. This was being continuously innovated and redefined. I'm not just talking, I like to validate my talks by sharing with you the pics of the plant that we have redesigned in a short. The entire approach was proactive because there is no possibility of any failure. So we made a complete list of what is to be done in order to have a continuity of the operations. The SOPs were made, it was shared, it was displayed in local language so that people can understand, and all the COVID protocols were made before the plant starts. And these are the pictures of this. The safety measures were made Poka-Yoke so that there cannot be possibility of any mistakes anywhere. Safety measures, social distancing, PPEs, touch-free operations, sanitization, was the daily affairs, factory as well as in offices. Legal compliances, the government was very much focusing on the legal compliances, and they were right also. We also went word by word and compliant whatever they have asked for. These were the awareness being kept on the shop floors. We have also created a pledge which we used to take daily, even now also, in order to motivate our people and in order to show our commitment for the people. Nothing, no operation were, were counted as a unimportant. Everything we considered as an important. These are the pictures which I just want to show. To add emotional connect with the people, we also offered a Ayurvedic. It is not only a just drink, but a gesture from our company to all the people that we care for them in this pandemic. And we started monitoring it also, because without data collection and monitoring, we cannot say that we are in the right directions. We called external audit party to show our plans, what we are doing. And they came and give us a clean check. Then we created a performance management system. Under any circumstances, there should not be any case of corona in our plant. All the practices that we have developed should remain sustained. And we also got a certification as an appreciation from government authorities. These practices also we shared with our industrial fraternity as well as with suppliers. Then we also address certain risks that we have in a very similar way. So in order to paucity of time, I'm just running through the pics. But finally, I would like to thank Professor Shoji Shubha, who has really taught us the concept of small m to a big M. This is the model which will last, which will give us a positive responses, a success story in managing the crisis, because this crisis is not going to end soon. We were thinking that everything will be by 6 months or 8 months. You all are aware that the enemy has come up in a different shape once again. So all this model needs to be revalidated, redesigned, re-improved, and achieve the business continuity and growth. There are certain learning. For every problem, there is a solution. We need to be more dedicated towards innovation. And the most important is the team. The team has to be with you. If the team is with you, you can achieve anything. The technology that we have needs to be upgraded. And during this times, we have organized for a lot of training to acquire new skill sets, particularly, choosing the e-platform for communication, for exchange, for transfer of ideas. And the last one is the faith on oneself, if the approach is selfless. These were certain achievements. The achievements were kept brick by brick over others. These are only very subjective because there is no time right now to elaborate on this. The way forward is we need to be more proactive to address this pandemics. Risk has to be unforeseen, risk has to be identified and has to be addressed. There is a lot of agility like sports is required because the enemy can still exist and can attack anytime. And the most important is we need to observe the changing needs of the customers. The environment care is a must-be requirement for the businesses processes. Leadership journey will still continue. The perspective will keep on adding to our kitty because still enemy. So thank you very much for kind consideration of the time for listening to my ideas. And my message to all the VLFM community who are here and who are not here is to, this is the time when we have to show ourselves as a thinking leaders till the goal is achieved. We may get a vaccine, but we need to inject the DNA of the leadership in our minds, and this particularly not to the top notch, but even to the young generations, because prevention is better than cure. If this doesn't happen, our whole aim is to make the society smile and come back to the original state of affairs. Otherwise, the kid that you are seeing on the screen is looking at us whether you will be able to impart the leadership and the new perspective to the world to address these challenges is the responsibility. Where otherwise, we will be labeled as a failure in the history. And then these young chaps will come up and impart leadership to the world.
So without much ado, I'll now request our next esteemed speaker, Mr. Rajiv Lokhare, if he can just come in, and just a short introduction. We would like to hear from him. So just a short introduction. He is CEO of Classic Auto Tubes. 3 decades decades and decades of experience in manufacturing in various domains, and a pioneer in the field of automation and technology. So that is something that is future, and we want to hear more about it. So may I request Rajiv sir to kindly take the dais to kindly address the gathering. Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, I have to unmute myself. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. It's all yours now.
Okay, thank you. I would like to share my presentation. I don't know whether it will affect the bandwidth. Then I'll close my video.
Okay, sir. Okay. We can see it, sir.
You can see it.
It is full. It is full screen now. Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, especially when I say that I am from the batch 1. And the biggest difference I feel in batch 1 and the others is we could see this program evolving in front of our eyes. I mean, the way Shoji Basan and the top faculty keep doing it. For example, when there was a bad comment from question from one of us for Mr. Godrej, immediately there was a presentation on how to make an effective comment. So we really could get something. Inner PDCA was going on again and again in that forum, and then we really enjoyed that. Of course, that's a more than 10 years old story for me right now, and thanks for keeping me third, because if there are 2 eminent speakers like this talking, then I have to say only ditto. One slide says ditto, and then I can finish my presentation. But I thought I will give a different picture where I normally focus on people. And even if in this pandemic and whatever happened, we took care of everything we did. As Mr. John said, we also had these different curves. Even in my 3 plants, the demand curves were different. One plant was steady, because of which we could survive, because this plant supported the other 2 plants. The one plant could immediately change the strategy and come back to positive. But the third plant, which was the biggest plant, took almost 6 months to come out of the losses that we had in the first 2 months of COVID. So the story is there itself within the organization. But if you really look at the one comment which I really like from John is to take out the notes. So I just thought, because I had an opportunity to work with 3 great organizations, and the part of their journey towards operational excellence, I will share my experience, including VLFM and the training program, and really link that to what we can do in future after COVID. All the 3 giants had the different approach. The goal is common, but the approach was different. So that's very nice. Very nice for me, because the learning was different. So definitely the learning more comes from Gamba, but the training programs are like boosters. VLFM is one of them, and hence I would like to really share my learning from all these programs, which can be very, very predominant still in the coming future, which can be applied for the future path towards the business after the COVID situation or with the COVID situation. So my journey is starting from Tata Motors, then TVS Motor, then I joined Apollo Tyres, and the Classic Industries and Exports is a part, and we can say a small brother of Apollo Tyres. So I'm in the same industry. Nevertheless, I had a big adventure of joining Sahyadri Hospitals, that is the healthcare industry, because of my family obligations, not obligations, but family request, where I had to go and set up some systems there for a year. But that itself was a very big experience. So I normally crack a joke saying that I started with four-wheeler, went to two-wheelers, then I went to a single wheel, and now there's no wheel. I mean, I'm just really handling some tubes and other parts. So this journey somebody will say it's a beautiful consolidation of your career and tapering down of your career, but that is not true, because the products that I was handling and now I am handling, the complications kept on increasing. And the other biggest thing was I started with OEs and then I became a tier 1 supplier and a tier 2 supplier. The biggest learning is this, that I had to shed my ego down to really earth, and I have to increase my listening capacity. This is really important. And now if I really go back to OE, my approach towards suppliers will be totally different. Of course, I am not seeing that possibility, but very clearly I can understand when I went to shoes of, so this might be, you can link this to jumping into a fish bowl. Tata Motors, of course, there was initiative called Tata Business Excellence Model and the JRD QE Award, and their methodology was totally different. This was all based on Malcolm Baldrige Award. TVS Motor Company, you know, when I joined, the next 2 years, we bagged this Deming Award successfully. But the interesting part is TVS was not at all, I hope I have some colleagues from TVS here, but TVS is not allergic at all. Sorry, was is not correct. He's not allergic about any initiatives. So we have, I mean, series of consultants coming inside like Yamaguchi-san, Hirano-san, Miyara-san, Takao-san, of course, the two bigs, that is Washo-san and Fuda-san. So going inside the company was not like going inside the company to work, but it was like going inside a school. And every day was a learning, because some consultant will be inside guiding us for doing a better thing. Of course, TVS Motor has a dream to become Toyota for two-wheelers. That's what they were saying. I'm sure they will be very close to their dream now. Apollo Tyres, of course, has a vision to become top 10 in the world, and the Deming Award is something which they are thinking about. But interestingly, they have their own schemes like Agile and Drive, and these are the guidelines they use for the policy deployment and the journey towards excellence. I don't want to really talk much about Sahyadri, because it really becomes a subject outside. But if somebody has got complacency about working in auto industry and he feels that I know the best, then he should join our health industry, and definitely you will come to know that there is a big outside world which is different than what we are doing here. Frankly speaking, this is an industry where we first do not understand who is the customer. The customer comes inside, the patient comes inside, the customer might be the relatives. So he comes inside unhappily. Nobody comes inside happily. First, number one. Number two, he starts becoming happy when he really becomes okay, but he again becomes unhappy when he sees the bill. So it's a very complicated industry where we also had a learning. I also had a learning which was really important. Let me start with Tata Motors, where this place is responsible for two things, and basic two things which I really got from that is a logical thinking and approach towards people. And when I went to TBM, when I went to VLFM, I could see that as a predominant thing when we talk about leadership. And the interesting part is when I faced a strike in Apollo Tyres, Keshubhai Thakkar, who was the outside leader, came and asked me, what is your history? I said, I was from Tata Motors 20 years. He said, stop. I know that you will take care of people. So you just can understand working in Tata Motors gives you a stamp. I still remember that sentence which was written by Mr. Pereira on his blackboard. People are not problems, people have problems. So there I'll go, but you will be surprised to see that we had a leadership program there in the first year itself when we were trainees in the Tata Management Training Center. And very quick feedback on this training program was this movie, 12 Angry Men. Now, this movie is really interesting, and he talks about all aspects of leadership. Is it leadership, communication, convincing skills, change management, teamwork, whatever you say. And I strongly recommend to use this film as an input and brainstorming session in any of the training programs people can conduct. People might have seen Ek Ruka Hua Faisla, but just forget that film. You have to really go and see this film. I simply bought this film, and when there was an address to GETs in Apollo Tires, I simply did the same thing. I showed this film and I had a beautiful brainstorming session. And the last input that I had was because I was selected as an external lead assessor. Again, I went to the same institute for this TBM framework and the learning of TBM framework. You can see this is very common to anybody who can really put a framework. We talk about the customer focus. A leader has to do looking at this customer focus and strategy and action plan. The strategic planning has to be done by a leader. Customer and market focus should not be left. So this is a leadership triad. On the other side, human resources and the process management, resource focus and process management will see that the strategies are converted into actions and you get business results. Most important thing here is out of 1000 marks, 450 marks are only for business results. This is applied, and this is if this approach is there, even this approach is true for any pandemic or any situation in the market, that where is your focus, whether the focus is on business result or not. Then I went to TVS Motor Company. The TVS Motor Company was a cultural shock for me, a positive cultural shock. Where investing in people is fantastic there. As I said, that we feel like going inside a school. And the inputs were so rapid that I really felt sorry that I could not cope up with those inputs and implement them in the same rapid phase that I kept learning. First, it started with the TPM journey and the TPM training and TPM implementation in all the plants. I like this diagram and I'm putting it in front of you because normally we see 8 pillars standing and we get a feel that they are independent and they are not talking to each other. But this one which was given by Kimura-san very clearly says that there is a PDCA going on between each pillar, and the Kobucho Kaizen pillar really takes care of the pillars by doing PDCA with each other and then helping the other pillars by taking the inputs from some other pillar. Now this, I think the Atmanirbhar Bharat pillars can be really attached here, and then we can really look at whether this framework can help us in really doing something different with respect to the exponential growth which is expected in the first pillar of economy. I don't want to do more on this because I think everybody here is expert by now in TPM and they must have bagged awards in their plant. So I don't want to go in details into this. But the next program which was there, which was I think the program which was very focused program for 35 odd top people designed by ISB only for TVS. And I would like to give you 6 learnings out of which will really help us even today in finding out how we can change direction. The first one was, of course, listening skills. And they said that you have a very poor, the whole lot, 35 people have a very poor listening skill. Please improve your listening skills. I strongly recommend you should go and really watch the video of Tom Peters, who talks about the 16 seconds doctor. I don't want to elaborate because you will lose the interest and fun in watching the TV, watching that clip. But this is the first learning that we had. The second learning was interesting, which says that do not fall into the activity trap. They say that if somebody tells I want this, then you will simply jump into action. And you will not spend time in participation, assumptions, individual needs, relationship, understanding, and planning. So the whole planning time should be 70%, and then action should start in 30%. Now, if I really go more into it, there are 3 types of activity traps: crisis, responding to other people, and the treadmill activity trap. The topmost is responding to other people, where we take monkeys on our head. I mean, our people come to, our subordinates come to us and then tell us the problem, and we take as our problem. And most of the organization people work at the next level. They are not working at their level. So this is something which was really, so we were told that you should go to your boss, not with the problem, but problem and a probable solution. The third, of course, is fail to fast. I always like the sentence of Percy Barnevik, who says that I will fire a person if he does not do any mistake, or he does the same mistake again. That means he does not try, and if he tries, he does not learn from it. The topmost learning, according to me, was this: the boundary manager concept, where he was told that you feel that you are at the core of the whole organization. If you say plant, I'm a plant head, I'm supposed to focus on the plant, how this plant is running and whether it is efficiency is right or not. But the real problems are at the fence, where there are gray areas, for example, on the supply side or on the other side like R&D, where there are gray areas and decisions are not taken and people sit on that. So you have to really be at the boundary rather than in the center as a leader. Now, this is not easy. For that, you have to first empower people and see that they become self-empowered to really take care of the shop floor, and then only you can go outside and sit in the boundary. The fifth learning was the double loop thinking, where we normally do a PDCA between data and results, and if results are not there, we go back to data. Sometimes you have to really give a shock and say my assumptions were wrong. The last learning was that you should make yourself redundant by seeing that your people grow. I mean, people are afraid of doing this because they feel that that's a threat to your own position. But this is something which you'll definitely see that people grow, and if people grow, the organizations grow. After that, I had an opportunity to go to another leadership program where this is called Center of Creative Leadership. And this was totally 1:1, one consultant to one person. And we used all sorts of psychometry tests, etc., to really find out what is my plus minus points and really work on that. Only one thought I would like to put in front of you is when we talked about coaching, he said there is an interesting feedback formula called situation, behavior, and impact. You have to be very clear to describe a situation, very clear to describe how the person behaved in that situation, and then give an impact to see that the feedback is given properly. I really recollect the same. I think this diagram people might be knowing as far as VLFM is concerned, where we talk about the essentials, where we say how we can be very effective to give an excellent comment. Now I can really join these threads from all. Why I'm talking about all this is because I can join threads and see that the thinking is common, and there are so essential things which can be used, whether it is a normal working or a pandemic working or any working. Unless and until we really do this, give feedback and see that people are empowered, we just cannot make any plans to really go forward. Of course, again, a connection from ISB learning, where RR and I talked about a journey from unconscious incompetence to a conscious competence. I'm taking people through coaching. If somebody is not really able to understand this, the simple thing is our TPM, where we say I can do, I cannot do, I can do, I can do, and I can teach. The same thing in a sophisticated manner is this unconscious incompetence. And then I just took this to really come to VLFM. When VLFM I was nominated, I went and cried in front of my boss. I'm very open and said that I don't want to go to this program because it is so much of learning pumped inside me that I'm feeling uncomfortable and I want to implement. Give me some years to implement. Mr. Mutturaj, who was my boss, says nothing doing. You will go because each program is different and you will learn at a higher level than what you have learned up to now. And it really was true when I really joined this batch. And Shoji Shiba-san and the entire team, they had a different approach towards, and then we did a lot of things, which was eye-opener for me. But I will take only 2 points or 3 points out of which, of course, this is my favorite slide where we talk about the small M to big M. I think this slide is from the module 5, a noble mind and the leadership skills. A noble mind was so hammered that after I went back to Apollo, I saw that one of my KRA is the CSR activities that I do. I did not leave that KRA activities to a KRA coordinator. And I personally went to the villages to understand what is happening. So the most important thing according to me is this WV model, which will help us to understand what is that different thing that we can do in this pandemic and after the pandemic on all sorts of situations. Where we first normally work on brainstorming, prioritization, a simple PDCA. And sometimes we directly jump into what customer feels and take action. And since I used to really talk about this WV model, which will take you to a different experience and you will understand. I'll give you an example how I used it or unknowingly or knowingly, which is the present situation in CIEL. With a customer complaint, I could brought from something like 290 ppm to 23 ppm in almost 10 times down in 5 years. And I must say that this could be done only because I used this model to really understand what is the perception of the customer. Otherwise, I was very mechanical to understand what is the root cause, take action, make Pokaya case. But then I really realized that customer, though the perception and expectation is nothing to do with the quality of tube or quality of the product I'm talking about. That is his expectation. So you just cannot ignore that, and we have to really work on that. Similarly, the complaints also came down with respect to the replacement market from something like 325 ppm to 53 ppm. So this is an excellent example of how a WV model helped me. The second one was the benchmarking, where I think, I don't know, the slides are not moving. Yeah. So if the batch one people remember, we talked about a Japanese painting and a copy of Japanese painting. And since I said that to start innovation, you can start with imitation, absolutely no issues. I did that in this company again, and I benchmarked my product with the best company in the world called Donga. And there were so many issues where I was not really good, and I could improve those issues by really implementing the learning with respect to benchmarking with Donga. I think the topmost is this fishbowl. And as I said, actually I was forcibly put inside the fishbowl when I went to the hospital industry. This totally was a fishbowl, and I cannot say that I am standing outside. I was inside the fishbowl with zero knowledge with respect to hospital industry. And then there was an expectation from the family members who were asking me to come and join to really do some improvement. So when I joined there, I just looked at the life cycle scan where this industry is, and not industry, this company is, and I found they are over expanding. They are chewing more than what the organization can really chew. This is a very interesting diagram which can be really used for assessing your company where you are and take action so that it does not go down. When I saw that, I immediately again make a team, slightly educated them on what is the concept of yellow slips, and made this bit complicated about strategy formation cycle, the financial cycle, the system formation, and the people management cycle. And major actions were really consolidation, where some units which are not profitable were closed down, and the remaining units were strengthened by changing the policies or the strategies. So this is a IE matrix which I use to really understand these are all units. So which unit is in which stage, whether it is the stage where we need to expand or we have to retreat. And I took actions like this. I could not really see the results I came out, but I am sure now they are really doing, and they have turned around the whole situation. So I just told them to really go through this, saying that we'll start with the consolidation, then sustain and improve. Then again, there was a Michigan program. I don't want to dwell on this. Then I went to Apollo Tyres. Now, Apollo Tyres was a place where I could really sit calmly, recollect the learning, note down, and really start implementing that in the plant. So I don't want to really show these photographs where we really changed the shop floor, even in CIEL. And they had their own way of training people. They called it the TLDP and ELDP programs for technology leadership development. Again, I will not dwell on this, and I would like to use the biggest learning in this program to the end of this session. Avinash, do I have time or I should close?
Yes, sir, we can continue for another 2 minutes.
Yeah. So now I go to the subject of era of new normal, where my strong opinion is nothing has changed. It will be something like shocking, but the situation inside the plant definitely has changed. We have to take actions, safety, health, everything is important. But as far as the competition is concerned, there is nothing that has changed. The push has become hard. I mean, if you really look at this diagram talks about, it is from the machine which changed the world, I think. And it talks about the change in variety, quality, and cost. So the push was very slow. This pandemic or Atmanirbhar Bharat kind of initiatives has really pushed this line hard to the other side. Now, competitive advantage, we have enough inputs from books like this, but really to consolidate, you really start going and you get confused saying that which initiative I'm supposed to use for really speeding it up. Now, this is a very interesting diagram which was told by my boss, Mr. Mutturaj. We said that we will have ISO TS things to really give you systems, and TPM, TQM kind of things which will really create a culture of adherence. But unless and until you have the technological capacity to solve the problems, you will not be able to take it forward. So innovation, word is nice, disruptive innovation, further nice. But unless and until you have capability, we will not be able to do this. And that is why my whole focus is to really be a leader to see that people capability goes up. And unless we do that, the journey forward will have hiccups, which we should not really have. So if you really look at competitive advantage, it is a flexibility, speed, capability, efficiency, and innovation. These are the four or five words which I coined, saying that these are the focus areas on which we really need to work. And these areas we have to do something different than what we are doing. Then we will have a competitive advantage, and then we can really go in a faster pace. I have a bad habit to really create a next matrix for everything because I was working in TVS for 10 years. So even if you really look at what I tried to do was for Atmanirbhar Bharat, the pillars, what is the competitive advantage which is connected to these pillars and what are the actions and the learning that I was talking up to now, how this learning can be useful. I think this can be a good exercise for people to really understand how will I take my company forward and what actions are really needed to really support Atmanirbhar Bharat and go forward. I just need 1 minute. I'll take on this role of advanced technology because this is something which we are not talked about, but this is the thing which will really take us forward. So if you really look at competitive advantage, the drivers for competitive advantage and role of manufacturing, everything can be supported by the advanced technology. And advanced technology, if you really look at India was at something like 11 spot. It's supposed to go to spot number 5 in 2020. This was what was predicted. But the biggest thing is, of course, these are the four major sectors in which this will happen. But the biggest thing is the talent. So the worry, if I really look at the worry, again, here they talk about talent. So it really emphasizes on the thing that I have really talked about. We have to really, I really went back to the thought by the other two speakers. We were talking about the manufacturing is not really something which is very important now. It is the other two sides. That is on one side NPD and the other side sales, distribution, logistics, everything is something where we need to apply our mind now. So I just end it with one story which was told in Apollo Tyres Learning by Jason Jennings, and it is about letting go. If you don't let go, which we really have, I don't think we will be able to push it hard. Where he was talking about the roll rate, the rails, and he said that for a railway rails, the distance is very, very standard, 4 feet, 8.5 inches, and that has not changed for years. What is the reason he tried to find out? He found out that the trams earlier were having the same distance of 4 feet, 8.5 inches. Why tram? He said because the buggies that England was using, the range was 4 feet, 8.5 inches. Why buggies? He went further and he found that the gladiators are the things that the people were using in ancient era, exactly same distance, 4 feet, 8.5 inches. And he said, why here also? He found that the distance between the hips of two horses was 4 feet and 8.5 inches. So he said, this is a classic example how we do not change. Now he said, why are you telling me this story? He said, there is the effect of this. The effect is, you know that there was a space shuttle and there was an accident. The fuel cells of this space shuttle were long and they were not able to make it bigger and shorter. If they would have it bigger and shorter, the accident would have stopped. And this was not possible only because they still followed this 4 feet, 8.5 inches and could not transport these cells from one place to the other place because of these issues that they faced in the transportation. So it's an excellent example to really see how we can talk about let go. So I'll just skip this and then come to my end and saying that thank you very much. I just scattered my thoughts and just put in front of you. This was something which I learned and I thought that this is still the predominant thing which can be used as far as this present situation is concerned. Thank you.
May I now request GS sir, after a long time we have had a privilege to have him in a forum, to just give the concluding remarks and then we can conclude.
Good morning all. It's morning out here in London for me. I'm here in London and it was really wonderful to be a part of this program after a long time. Personal thanks to Edwin, Manoj and
Rahul sir.
Rahul for sharing their thoughts and really nice it was. So let me just, there's no point in sharing the things that they have said. I think it's wisdom and pearls of wisdom have been shared. Let me just take out 2 or 3 things and then say that what comes out very clear. Common thing is very, very clear that the disruptions are absolutely universal. Every industry, every company, every individual, every category of people, everybody have gone through major disruptions. Even though they have not been directly affected, they've been indirectly affected. So there's a universal thing which is disrupted. But I think each of the speakers came out with another wisdom that came, that the impact is absolutely unique to each particular entity. So a particular plant went through a V and a particular plant is going through a U, and particular plant might go through an L. We don't know really. But every individual unit, every individual person, every individual constituent has gone through a very, very unique thing. And this is exactly where Professor Shiba's basic principles are extremely useful. Most of you know that we need to do jump into fishbowl to get it. And so we have obviously had 3 beautiful fishbowls, and each of them shared many, many more fishbowls from their own experience. And it was really nice to be a part of the fishbowl. But their fishbowls and their experiences will not solve our problems, because we are in a very unique fishbowl. And this is the biggest lesson that I learned out of the last 1.5 hours of talk, that everyone was in a different fishbowl, but I'm in a very different fishbowl. All of you are in probably the safest country that you can have in the world today, which is India, with 95% of success and recovery rate. I'm in one of the worst countries today in the COVID. I'm in UK at this point. So my situation is unique. Everyone's situation is unique. So the skill that you need together with the skill of jumping is what is called jump out. You need to jump out from that fishbowl of the other people from whom you learned and apply it into your own context. So you got to put the jump out skills. And it was extremely useful to understand the jump out of the supply chain TAFE, and Edwin sir had given it so nicely and so clearly how he kind of handled, which is completely different the way that it was handled by Manoj in his plants. And we had a very, very different approach to the supply chain. It was the supply chain of thoughts, supply chain of ideas, supply chains of breakthrough, and supply chain of learning. That is what we learned from Rahul. So it is very, very different, and we need to jump out of those things. The other thing that comes out of this is things are changing so drastically, so dramatically, so rapidly. So it is about the dynamism of the whole thing, how dynamic the whole thing is moving. And this is another place where, though directly Professor Shiba has not said, but one thing that comes out very clearly is that your PDCA doesn't work well because you can't plan. There's nothing you can see. It is unclear everywhere. So you have to look at what is called very famously as OODA loop, which is observe. Only by observing the things outside that you can understand what's happening. Observe, orient yourself to that what you see, and then decide, because there are lots of options available. None of them is wrong, none of them is totally right. But it is from that, and then act onto this. So this is very different from saying, oh, I'll do the planning and detailing and all that, and then execute it. No, you are on the windscreen, you are driving, and so you've got to observe and you have to react and respond. All the speakers came out with this particular aspect of managing the new normal in an exceedingly good way. And this is the other thing, therefore, all of them have emphasized the need to manage outside is more important than the need to manage the inside. The only thing that you manage inside, and they all did it admirably well, was managing the safety. It looked like that this put together was a great lesson of total safety management, like total quality management, and it's about the safety of people. Never in our life that we went to zero defect, zero accident, and zero calamity because of this, as what the 3 eminent speakers have told about. The other issue that came out is the risk. That you have to perceive this risk. You cannot measure this risk, impossible. So the sensing this risk and then managing this risk is one of the most important abilities. And I'm glad that the 3 speakers have talked about this particular aspect of implementing in the pandemic. And this is something which is really great. The other part which is coming out very clearly and so nicely put by Rahul, that you need to move from the 4-wheel to 3-wheel to 2-wheel to 1-wheel to the inner tube. The inner tubes are the core competencies of VLFM. Inner tube is the one that remains constant no matter what that you do. And this is basically what has come out from the three speakers, that this is an inner tube, and that's what matters. So if I look at it, I found that all the old things about TQM came back here in this presentation. There's Kaizen, there is safety, there is improvement, there is all of those things. And at the same time, every time we are understanding that the old things don't work, the new things only can work. And so this is a fundamental, what's called the harmony of the old with the new. So, you know, if you're going to argue saying that all the old thing is wrong and so let's throw it out, well, there's nothing new that you can do. All the old things, put it back in a perspective and put it across, and then you have a fabulous way of doing it. I've seen the last 1.5 hours, the Kaizens working, I've seen people working, I've seen teamwork working, I have business excellence working, I have Malcolm Baldrige working. All of this thing is what we thought that, oh, it's all over, the era is over. No, no era is over. Everything is there. And so therefore, our learning is the accumulation of all of this. But one big factor is don't look at only the rear view mirror of all of these successes. Look at the windscreen. Windscreen is 80%, 90% of what you have to see. And so I think this was a great experience and a wonderful talk by the eminent speakers. I would particularly once again like to thank Edwin, Manoj, and Rahul for sharing their experiences. I think it's been a great learning experience for me. So all the best to you. Stay safe and continue your journey, because we have to defeat not the small virus, but the consequences of the virus are an order of magnitude more serious than the virus. And that is a long journey, not just for us, but for the next generation of people. So all the best, stay safe. And thanks again for inviting me. Thank you, Avinash. Thank you, Sailesh. And
Yes,
thank you, Nitin. I don't see him. I don't know. But anyway, so thanks. And thanks again, Rajiv. Thanks again, Manoj. And thank you again. Thank you very
It
much.
is a
Thank you,
it is a
dear.
privilege to
Thank
have you,
you.
sir. It is a privilege to have you, sir. Just my apologies for getting the name wrong. It is Mr. Rajiv Lokare. But anyways, sir, all three of you, we are deeply indebted to you for to John Edwin, sir, to Manoj Davarte, sir, and Rajiv Lokare, sir, for taking some time out and giving us that precious bit of knowledge. With this, I would like to take it end. We will do a small U1 and wishing you all a very happy new year and prosperous new year ahead. So we'll just do a small U1 and then we can close.